Hey guys, so I know we are in a state of panic right now, and people are freaking out because a lot of things are happening in this moment that we can't control. And so the only thing you feel like you can do is panic. But I need you guys to know whatever situation you are in and whatever you are going through, just know that it's going to be okay. And in God's timing, you will be fine. I want to share something with you guys really quick. If you would take a second with me to go through Esther. I want to read chapter 5 with you guys. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want you guys to understand something when it comes to having favor on your life. So just bear with me. So it says, on the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace, in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall, facing the entrance. When he saw Queen Esther standing in the court, he was pleased with her and held out to her the gold scepter that was in his hand. So Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. Then the king asked, "What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half of the kingdom, it will be given to you." "If it pleases the king," replied Esther, "let the king, together with Haman, come today to a banquet I have prepared for him." Now, it goes on in verse 5. It says, "Bring Haman at once," the king said, "so that we may do what Esther asks." As you see, Esther had asked for something, and it was granted to her. But I'm not finished. It says, so the king and Haman went to the banquet Esther had prepared. As they were drinking wine, the king again asked Esther, "Now what is your petition? It will be given to you. And what is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted." Esther replied, "My petition and my request is this. If the king regards me favor, if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, let the king and Haman come tomorrow to the banquet I will prepare for them. Then I will answer the king's question." So, from what I just read, we all know that Esther had a calling on her life, and she went through some things. At first, she didn't step into her calling because she didn't understand until some things started to happen, and then it was almost like she didn't have a choice but to move how God wanted her to move. So when she got to a place where she had no choice but to do the will of God, God put favor on her life. She already had favor on her life. She just didn't know. Just like us, we have favor on our life. But until you walk into that calling that God has called you to do, or until you get into God's word and fulfill what he is asking, then you won't know that you have favor. But you do. You have favor. So in any situation that you are facing right now and you are asking God to move into your life, you can ask God to move in that situation. What you are praying for, what you are asking for, what you need to be done, you can go to God and make your petition known, just like Esther. She was granted to half of the kingdom. Half of the kingdom she was granted. But she didn't want the kingdom. She wanted them to go to a banquet that she was preparing. Even though it was all for a bigger purpose, but she still was granted favor. Not once, not twice. It was more than that. But she was just kind of stringing them along because they wanted something from her. But in order for them to get something from her, she needed something from them. So as you can see from what I just read, that's what she was doing. But it all boiled down to she had favor on her life because of the calling she had on her life. So, again, when you guys are asking God to move in your life, in your situations, in your finances, and things that are going on right now because of this chaos, go to God in prayer. Ask and you shall receive. I'm not saying you're going to go to God and ask God for $1 million and He going to make it happen today. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the things that you are asking God for, go to God in prayer. He hears you. There's nothing too big or too small that God can't do in your life. Nothing too big or too small. And it don't even have to be you asking for anything. If it's a situation that's going on right now with your kids and you don't know how to handle it, or something's going on with your spouse and you don't know how to handle it, or if somebody's sick and you think they're not going to come up from under it, go to God and make your petition known. And He hears you. You don't have to stress. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to worry. It's going to be done. You just got to trust and believe that it's going to be done in your life. And I also want you guys to know, when Esther went to the king and she asked for something, she didn't go with insecurity. She didn't go with fear. She didn't go with the thought that this wasn't going to happen. She came boldly and made her request known. Just like with us going to God, you have to come boldly to God when you're requesting something from Him. Because if you have doubt when you're coming to Him, then you have lack of faith and you're not believing and trusting that it's going to be done. You have to believe that it's going to be done. You have to know that you know that you know that it is going to be done. Let me tell y'all something. When I transferred from one job to another job, mind you, I did all the requirements of what I was supposed to do. I did my interview. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I wasn't 100% that I had that job, but because I know who I serve, I believe and I had faith that I was going to get this job. Now, when I tell y'all I believed and I had faith, those who know me, trust and believe, you already know that this wasn't on my hand. This wasn't nothing but the will of God. Because when I put my 2 weeks in at my other job, I didn't fully have the job that I was going for. But because I knew God was going to move in my life, He was going to move in my situation, I leaped out on faith and I put my 2 weeks notice in. Just think, you put in a 2-week notice not knowing if you have a job or not. Think about that. But I knew that I had faith. And I knew that God was going to move in my life. So I did it. So I just wanted to tell you guys, know that you know when you come to God. Because He can do it. He always do it. You guys be blessed and have a good day.